March 18, 2022, 4 U.S. Marines were killed in a crash in Norway. The soldiers participated in the NATO exercise Cold Response.
Deadly crash in Norway. A U.S. Marine Osprey aircraft going down in a mountainous region. All 4 Marines on board were killed. They were part of NATO training exercises not related to the war in Ukraine. The search efforts now hampered by dangerous weather. ABC's Lama Hassan tonight from London.
Tonight, the desperate search for answers. Why a Marine Osprey aircraft like this one went down in Norway on Friday, crashing in a mountainous area, killing all 4 Marines on board. The Osprey was on its way north in a training mission where it was due to land shortly before 6 p.m., but it never made it. After it was reported missing at 6:26 p.m., Norwegian search and rescue teams taking the lead, locating the wreckage from the air.
The MV-22B Osprey aircraft assigned to the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force U.S. military unit was on a training mission in Nordland County, northern Norway, with a crew of 4. When we take a deeper look at this event, it becomes evident that this is another orchestrated satanic ritual. We know this by the numerology that was purposefully embedded within this event. The date this event occurred was March 18th. In fact, it was a double 18 since 3/18/2022, when added together, 3 + 1 + 8 + 2 + 2 + 2, we get 18. The number 18 is 666, the number of the beast. The time the Osprey went missing was 6:26 p.m.
Reported missing at 6:26 p.m.
or 626, which also gives us the number 666, the number of the beast. Notice the symbol on the tail of the plane used by the news is a symbol of a bull, which is the horned god Molech, to whom human sacrifice was made by apostate Jews. The Osprey squadron patch features a bull with the flames of hell behind him. Molech is connected to the logo of the Chicago Bulls. We know that the Chicago Bull points to the man whose name is the Hebrew phrase Barack Obama, which means lightning from heaven, and is the description of Satan falling from heaven as spoken by Messiah in Luke 10:18. Interestingly enough, the Osprey costs $84 million.
This is the MV-22 Osprey, flown by the United States Marine Corps. With a unit cost of about $84 million, it's the world's first production tilt-rotor aircraft.
The number 84 points to Obama's birthday, August 4th. Ultimately, the bull or horned god points to the false god Satan, and the land of Norway is the home of the Vikings, which also points to the horned god, Six King, or Six God. But there's more. The name Norway means the way to the northern land. In the scriptures, north is the direction of heaven, and we are told that Lucifer plans to ascend into heaven in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 14:13 declares, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north." It is important to note that on December 10th, 2009, Obama gave his speech for the Nobel Peace Prize in Norway, and a portal or doorway was opened in the skies.
And yet I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the considerable controversy that your generous decision has generated. In part, this is because I am at the beginning and not the end of my labors on the world stage. compared to some of the giants of history who have received this prize.
On December 9th, 2009, the people of Norway are preparing for the historic arrival of President Barack Obama. But for the inhabitants of one northern town, the day will be remembered for a very different reason. Within a few seconds, a giant spiral hundreds of miles wide dominates the pre-dawn skies.
Also, 4 people were killed in this event. You may remember that the number 4 points to the 4th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, Dalet, which means a door. Thus, connecting the doorway or portal in the heavens over Norway with the fallen angel through this plane that crashed. This also connects back to the Travis Scott Astroworld concert, which also depicted the opening of a portal or doorway from the astral plane. This is the significance of a plane crash as well, as it points to the different planes of existence. In fact, Norway is connected with doorways or portals in another way as well. Stave churches are undoubtedly Norway's most important contribution to the world of architecture. All wooden churches in Norway before the Reformation were constructed of wooden staves. Doorways or portals from about 140 stave churches have been preserved. Most portals show depictions of dragons, lions, and vines. Common features of most portals are that they are monumental and that they have fighting dragons in what surely is pagan iconography. In its original form, the stave church building consists of gabled roofs steeply stacked on top of each other. At the end of the gables, dragon heads are usually enthroned. This points to the crowning of the dragon. Here you see Sigurd, a descendant of the one-eyed Norse god Odin, sucking the dragon's blood off of his thumb. In fact, Sigurd has its origins in several figures of the Merovingian king's dynasty. The Merovingians point to the bloodline of the dragon and Antichrist himself through King Merovi, who is said to have been spawned of a Kinotaur, which is a giant fish or sea monster who raped his mother when she went out to swim in the ocean. The Merovingians are Frankish kings or Gauls, meaning they are of French origin, and another word for the French are frogs, which represent unclean demonic spirits. Frogs are also amphibious, which is why the plane that crashed was flown by Marines. So it is clear that Norway and its connection to portals has more to do with pagan worship and the crowning of the dragon, which through this plane crash has been connected with the horned god 666 and points to the man from Chicago whose name in Hebrew, Barack Obama, means lightning from heaven. Again, this is the true reason this plane was made to crash in Norway. Now, let's take a look at the plane itself. The plane was an MV-22B Osprey. M is the 13th letter, which is the number of rebellion. 13 is also 1 plus 3, which equals 4. V is the 22nd letter, and 2 plus 2 equals 4. Therefore, the letters MV equal 44 and points to number 44, Barack Obama. The numbers 22B can be expressed as follows. B is the second letter in the alphabet. Therefore, 22B is actually BBB, which is also 666, the number of the beast. An osprey is a sea hawk, which is a bird of prey, which is part of the falcon family. Horus, the sun god, is also depicted as a falcon. When hunting for food, the osprey dives, falling from the heavens as death from above to their prey. This points to Lucifer, falling from heaven as death from above as well. The osprey's scientific name is Pandion. When we break the word Pandion down, we get Pan, who is the horned goat god, and the name Dion, which means child of heaven and earth, from Dionysus, the god of drunkenness, wine, and revelry, whose symbol is the bull and the vine. This connects back to the symbol of the bull that was found on the tail of the plane, and the symbol of the vine as found on the portal or doorways of the stave churches in Norway. Dionysus is connected to the celebration of Easter, as he is sometimes called, the dying and rising god, which connects him with the sun god in the celebration of sunrise services on Easter. Another name for Dionysus was Bacchus, who the Romans identified as Liber Pater, the free father of the Liberalia festival, which was held on March 17th, the day before the Osprey crashed in Norway. The celebration of Dionysus, Bacchus, and Liber was connected with the phallus symbol, fertility, and sex. Human sacrifice to Saturn, the horned Viking, sixth king, or sixth god, Satan, was also conducted during this time. It is very important that you make note of the connection to Easter, Liber, or liberation, sexual fertility rites in the spring or vernal equinox, as we will come back to it later. Getting back to the osprey, the name Pandion is linked with a king of Athens in Greek mythology. It is thought, however, that the name osprey is better associated with the king of Thrace, the son of the god of war, Ares, a rapist named Tereus, who was transformed into a raptor by the gods. Interestingly enough, a hawk or a raptor, a bird of prey, and a rapist in Latin is a raptor, a person who engages in raptus, a word that means sexual violation and abduction. This points to the fallen angels of Genesis 6:4, who were also raptors, birds of prey who fell from heaven and raped human women. A raptor also refers to the dinosaur, the ancient dragon or serpent with legs. Interestingly enough, the Toronto Raptors is the name of the team that represents the city of the Viking, sixth king, or sixth god, Toronto. Remember, the Osprey crashed in Norway, which is also the home of the Vikings, which points to the horned sixth god as well. The date of this plane crash was March 18th, which is the 77th day of the year. The number 77 is a reference to the lightning which fell from heaven and connects back to the Nazi symbol for the SS. Remember, the Sig rune represents the sun, which, like the falcon or hawk, points to the sun god. 77 can be expressed as 7 times 7, which equals 49, and 4 plus 9 is 13, the number of rebellion. The number 77 is also connected to Cain and the serpent's seed. Genesis chapter 4 verse 24 declares, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. The number 77 is also connected to Satanism. Liber 77 is another name for the book Liber Oz, a publication by Satanist Aleister Crowley. The name Liber connects back to the god of drunkenness and revelry, Dionysus, Bacchus, or Liber Pater. The word Oz, which means strength, is composed of two Hebrew letters, An and Zayin, which have the number values of 70 and 7, thus adding up to 77. An also means I and is connected in the scriptures to the fall in Genesis chapter 3, verses 4 through 5, which declares, "And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." This connects An with the Gnostic serpent and the sinful knowledge offered by the devil, as well as the all-seeing eye. The word Zayin means weapon or sword, as a symbol of strength and power, and at some point the meaning of the name was associated with the penis or phallic symbol in sexual intercourse. The dash, which turns the Hebrew letter Vav into Zayin, is a crown, the head of the phallus, which is revealed in all its glory by the act symbolizing the covenant, the circumcision, cutting the foreskin that covers the head or crown. Make a note of the act of cutting the crown that covers the head, as we'll come back to it later, and I will show you how this is also deeply rooted in this ritual sacrifice as well. Since this plane fell from the heavens on the 77th day of the year, which coincides with the celebration of Dionysus, Bacchus, or Liber, and Liber 77 is made up of the Hebrew letters An and Zayin. This points to the setting free or liberation of the king of the bottomless pit, the one who wears the corona or crown, and is signified by the all-seeing eye and the phallus symbol, which also points to the fallen angels who raped or had unlawful sexual intercourse with human women, creating the Nephilim giants. As a side note, American Airlines Flight 77 was one of the planes hijacked during the September 11th terrorist attacks. On March 17th, the day of the festival held for Dionysus, Bacchus, or Liber Pater, a shooting occurred at a Burger King located on 167th Street and 47th Avenue in Miami. The number 167 is 77, since 1 plus 6 equals 7, and the number 47 is 4 sevens, or 7777. This points back to Liber 77 and the lightning which fell from heaven.
And talk about a wild chain of events, an argument between a customer and employee happening in this Burger King, then spilling out into this parking lot and leading to a shooting, and a witness tells us that that employee fired about 5 shots.
The fact that this shooting occurred at Burger King automatically connects it with the corona or crown, a narrative that we've been seeing repeatedly come up in these satanic rituals. This shooting also connects back to the Burger King shooting in Harlem that occurred on January 9th, 2022, killing Crystal Bayron Nieves, who was connected to the Queen of Heaven. From January 9th, 2022, the date of the first Burger King shooting, to March 17th, 2022, the date of this Burger King shooting is 67 days, and 6 plus 7 is 13, the number of rebellion. Not only that, 67 reversed is 76, which represents the spirit of rebellion. Notice the address of the Burger King where this incident took place is 4727. 4 plus 7 equals 11, and 2 plus 7 equals 9, which, when reversed, gives us 9/11. And since this shooting occurred at Burger King, it points to the setting free or releasing of the king of the bottomless pit, as found in Revelation 9:11. Interestingly enough, the Burger King employee was released, set free, or liberated from prison on March 18th, the same day that the Osprey crashed.
A Burger King employee who police say was involved in a shooting is out of jail tonight.
Not only that, but also on the same day, March 18th, H.R. 2116, the Crown Act, passed the House of Representatives.
For decades, some in the black community have complained of being told that their natural hair is unacceptable at school and at work. Now legislators are one step closer to making hair-based discrimination a federal law. On Friday, the House passed the Crown Act by a vote of 235 to 189. All House Democrats and 14 Republicans voted for the bill, while 189 Republicans voted against it. Supporters of the bill say there are legal protections already in place, but the Crown Act is needed for clarification.
Professionalism is not about fitting into Eurocentric norms. Professionalism is about competency, it's about skill and respect.
Last December, Jeffrey Thornton and his attorney, Adam Kent, filed a lawsuit against Encore Global in San Diego. Thornton was also supported by activist Shane Harris, after he says Encore told him he'd have to cut his dreadlocks if he wanted the job.
I expected that I was to remove my ear gauges. It's not a problem. I'd be willing to trim my facial hair. But I wasn't prepared to be told that I would need to cut my hair in order to comply with Encore standards.
The Crown Act. The Crown Act.
The passing of the Crown Act and the mention of cutting his crown connects back to the Zayin and the symbol of the phallus in the covenant, which is circumcision, or cutting of the foreskin, which covers the crown that we spoke about earlier. This was a symbol of the covenant made between Yah and Abraham, that he would be God to him and unto his seed forever, and that he would give him all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession. This can be found in Genesis 17. Clearly, the Antichrist will transgress this covenant when he declares himself to be God, and he divides the land of Israel.
Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The United States believes that negotiations should result in two states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine. We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps.
Notice the number of the Crown Bill is 2116 or 226, like the number associated with the Osprey plane that crashed, the MV-22B. Remember, the letter B is the second letter of the alphabet, and the number 6 is also a lowercase b. Therefore, 226 is BBB, or 666, the number of the beast. Once again, this points to the crowning of the Viking, sixth king, or sixth god, the beast 666. Interestingly enough, on March 13th, 2022, 6 days prior to the passing of the Crown Act, Obama tweeted that he had tested positive for being crowned with the venom of the serpent.
Former President Barack Obama has tested positive for COVID. He tweeted today that he's fine after suffering from a scratchy throat for a few days. The former First Lady tested negative. Both were vaccinated and boosted.
He also connected his tweet with the number 616, an alternative to the number of the beast 666 as found in Papyrus 115. This was meant to connect Obama with the crowning of the Viking, sixth king, or sixth god as well. On March 21st, 2022, 3 days after the passing of the Crown Act and the crash of the Osprey MV-22B in Norway, a Boeing 737 plane belonging to China Eastern Airlines crashed in China.
Update you on some breaking news. Very difficult images to look at here on your screen, but take a look at this. That is a Boeing 737 China Eastern Airlines crashing just west of Hong Kong in the mountains of the Ganji province. 132 people were on board. All are presumed dead.
China Eastern Flight 5735 left Kunming Airport just after 1 p.m. here, heading over the mountains of Yunnan province toward Guangzhou, what was supposed to be less than a 2-hour trip. But the plane abruptly lost speed and altitude about 130 miles out, according to flight data.
This plane fell from the sky on the 21st of March, and the number 21 can be expressed as 777, which, like number 77, points to the lightning that fell from heaven. March 21st is the 80th day of the year, and it marks the vernal or spring equinox. This is very important as it connects this crash with the god of the spring equinox, Dionysus, Bacchus, or Liber Pater. The March equinox, or northward equinox, is the equinox on the Earth when the subsolar point appears to leave the southern hemisphere and cross the celestial equator, heading northward as seen from Earth. This connects back to the MV-22B Osprey aircraft that crashed in Nordland County, northern Norway. Remember, Nordland means the north land, and Norway means the way to the north, thus pointing to the vernal or northward equinox and the subsolar point moving northward, which is symbolic of the sun god Satan moving northward or attempting to ascend into heaven to take the place of God. The plane that crashed was China Eastern Flight 5735, which had 132 people on board. The plane took off just after 1 p.m. It then lost speed and altitude at 130 miles out where it crashed. 1 p.m. is 1300 in military time and points to the number 13, the number of rebellion. 130 miles out also gives us the number 13, and since this plane fell from the heavens, this points to the rebellious, fallen angels. 132 people on board can be expressed as 1 plus 3 plus 2, which equals 6, and points to the Viking, sixth king, or sixth god.
The China Eastern plane was a Boeing 737-89P that was just over 6 years old.
The flight number 5735 was purposefully chosen for its meaning as well. The number 5735 can be found in Strong's Concordance, which lists H5735 as adada, a word that means festival or boundary. Since this plane crash occurred on the date of the spring equinox, we can be sure that the festival they are making reference to is the festival for Dionysus, Bacchus, or Liber Pater, the dying and rising god, the god of liberation and freedom, which points to the setting free of the king of the bottomless pit once again. The name Eastern also points to Easter, the festival which is held on the first Sunday after the first full moon that falls after the spring equinox. This is why the airline China Eastern was chosen for this satanic human sacrifice ritual, and it was staged to occur on the spring equinox. The name Qin is the etymological ancestor of the modern day name China. The word made its way into the Indo-Aryan languages, first as Sina or Sina, and then into Greek and Latin as Sinai. Mount Sinai is the place Yah appeared to Moses and gave him the law, the 10 Commandments, which delineated the clear boundaries of what was lawful for man and what constituted sin. This is confirmed in Romans 7:7, which declares, "What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet." Interestingly enough, as it pertains to sin, the name Sinai is connected with the Akkadian Sin, the horned moon god worshipped at whose symbol was a bull, which points back to the Chicago Bull and Barack Obama. The bull, in its connection to sin, is the reason why when Moses descended from Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, that the Israelites had made an image of the false idol, the golden calf, to worship, as it was a literal example of their sin, as well as a symbolic representation of the false god, sin, at Sinai. According to rabbinic tradition, the name Sinai derives from a word meaning hatred. Therefore, the crash of the China Eastern plane is connected with sin, the fall of the false idol, the horned god, the festival of Dionysus, the dying and rising god, the spring equinox, Easter, and sun worship, and the rebellious fallen angel, the Viking, sixth king, or sixth god, the beast, 666, Satan himself. In closing, it is clear to see that all of these events that we have discussed in this video were all purposefully connected through numerology and symbolism, with the express intent being to exalt the devil and his Antichrist. These are signs of the times in which we live, the time of the end, when Messiah will return to judge the world and cut off all those who have turned their backs on the true and living God. If you have not given your life to the Most High by accepting the blood sacrifice of the Paschal Lamb, Yehoshua HaMashiach, which was shed on the cross as a propitiation for the redemption of sins, the time to do so is now. Amen. Shalom.